Hey guys, so anytime I see a video or an interview on AI, and I think it's on a topic that's worth mentioning, I like to do a video on it and add my commentary. This video is really about vibe coding, and I'm actually vibe coding live together, and we're building B2B apps, um, but also adding some commentary on high level AI topics. So in this video, Dylan Patel, who is a journalist in the AI space, who has a lot of inside knowledge with semiconductor companies and big AI labs, is sitting down with Matthew Berman. And I'm new to Matthew Berman, but he has a ton of great AI related content and interviews. And so in this interview, they're talking about LLMs that live on the edge. So uh, in this interview, they're going to talk about Apple. So Apple is considering running on-device AI. So instead of the model living in the cloud, and every time you log into the application on your device locally, it has to go through the cell network and up to the cloud and back. On an on-device LLM, or an LLM that's running at the edge, it wouldn't need to go back and forth up to the cloud. It would be a smaller model, a quantized model, maybe more fine tuned to the context that's only related to that user, and it would run on the device. And that way, there's a lot of security vulnerabilities in the cloud that get eliminated, and it's also could run faster without having to go up and down to the cloud um, and through the cell network. So I'll go ahead and play the video.
I want to ask you one last question about Apple. They are very big on on-device AI, and I actually really like that approach. Security, latency. What's your take on on-device AI, pushing AI to the edge versus having it in the cloud? Is it somewhere in the middle? What do you think?
So I think I'm generally an on-device AI bear. I don't like it that much. Like personally, I think security is awesome. But I know human psychology, like free with ads is better than security.
Okay, so first off, immediately he says he's a bear for on-device AI. So just an understanding of LLMs a little bit. So you have open source LLMs, and then you have these closed weight models. A lot of the big labs are building data centers, training these massive models, right, with trillions of parameters, and then they're serving it up over the API. So they have large data centers, they handle the inferencing, they host the model, and every time you call their API, you're sending their data up to the cloud and back, right? So, and then you have open source models. So with an open source model, now sometimes you'll have a larger open source model, and with a larger open source model, you need more compute to run that model, right? But these models can get quantized down to less precise, right? So there's trillions of weights, and these weights have a certain precision, and we can with quantization kind of make these models smaller. And when we make them smaller, they can run on the device. So the great thing about running a small model on the device is that all that token cost when you're calling the API is great for business, right? And so this is a kind of a large LLM, training LLM on extreme amounts of data, extreme data center size, kind of bull right here, Dylan Patel. And so and a lot of these big lab guys are very they want to use a rocket to travel to the grocery store, right? So they want to build a rocket, and we're all sitting here asking basic day-to-day questions to our LLM. Now, the interesting thing is that he just focuses on the consumer side, right? But not really thinking about the enterprise side. And I'll go ahead and keep playing the video here.
No one actually cares about security. They say they do, but the number of people who actually make decisions based on security are very little. I would like privacy and security, of course.
But wait, but you said it's you like free, but you're not.
So nobody cares about privacy, right? Until OpenAI is doing surveillance on you, right? And this is kind of a horizontal technology that's penetrating across every industry, right? And the thing that you got to think about is a lot of these enterprise companies, their clients have private data. And these companies don't want to be sharing all of their data with a public model that's going to get sloshed around within trillions of parameters. And these guys they're building interpretability teams because they don't even understand how it works, right? So as a private company, on the enterprise side, it makes sense to host the model locally, right, with private data, and not have to go back and forth, up and down to the cloud. And in that case, you get security and improved latency. Now, on the consumer side, if we're talking about how AI can redesign the layout of the transistors on a chip, or redesign the layout of a chip. And excuse me, I'm a layman here, amateur, right? Why aren't we expecting that these models will be able to run at the edge, right? I think a lot of the mentality is, we need investment. We need to keep this engine running AGI, 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 right? But we're forgetting about, a lot of the use case for these models is incredibly simple, right? Sure, you have a small group of developers and researchers, building incredible things, but a lot of your average person's asking pretty average questions where do you need this behemoth model to handle that?
You're not. That's not analogous to on-device AI, right?
No, no. So like Meta will offer it in the cloud for free, and OpenAI has a free tier, and so Google has a free tier.
And it's going to be better than free, as in running it on your own device.
Right, right. And that's a big challenge with that is that on device is
So yeah, I guess just drop my pants and give up my privacy, right? And there's some ads. It's better. F it. Screw it, right?
that you're limited by the hardware, right? And so how fast the model can inference is really based upon your memory bandwidth of the chip. And okay, if I want to increase the memory bandwidth of the chip, I spend $50 more of hardware. I pass on the cost to the customer. It's $100 more for the iPhone.
Yeah, but do we need this? You don't need this massive model for all general use case, right? If I have an on edge device, and I can think of millions of on edge, I'm in the telematics video business, so we have cameras in the vehicle that are taking pictures of the driver's face, doing face detection. We have drivers in the field that are using AI to create purchase orders. We have drivers doing pre-trip and post-trip inspection, all types of AI happening on the edge in the enterprise world. Um, but if the AI system doesn't need to, it only needs your personal context and knows your pattern of life. Why do I need to fit this massive model onto this on-edge device? It doesn't make sense to me.
Great. With $100, I could have like 100 million tokens, right? And it's like, I'm not consuming 100 million tokens. Or better yet, $100, I just save it and Meta will give me the model for free on WhatsApp and Instagram, and OpenAI will give it free on ChatGPT, and Google will give it free on Google, right? It's really challenging from that perspective. And then lastly,
I mean, that feels like a little bit like Big Lab Delulu, right? Like that's the conversation with investors, right? On in Palo Alto. But I think as an enterprise company and an average user, an on edge model that serves my needs, I'm satisfied with that. Now, when I'm writing code, I want to use the access to the larger model, but I might have clients that have private data and I need to be responsible. I can't just be sending their private data to the cloud, right?
agree with the latency standpoint, right? I think there's certain use cases where transformers make sense for latency, super tiny next word prediction on your keyboard or spelling. But the AI workloads that are the most valuable to you and I are search a restaurant at this time and go find it from a personal standpoint.
Okay, so now he's talking about using that agentic systems, right, to go run an agent on the web in the cloud to go perform actions for you. Now, we already know that prompt injection and using these checkout systems on the cloud is there's incredible vulnerability there with prompt injection, right? And so I think the opposite. I think there's reason to advocate for on-device edge AI, that any type of credentials are sandboxed at the edge, and or some sort of authentication that is more secure than performing that authentication, in the cloud, right? You might ultimately have to do some authentication in the cloud, but some sort of handshake between something that's sandboxed at the edge and the cloud, right?
Access to my
Within
Gmail, my calendar, that's all in the cloud anyways.
right within business, there's tons of use cases, but my data's all in the cloud anyways. For personal, you and I, it's like search restaurant, go through Google Maps.
Okay, there he at least says, hey, there is some use cases in business. He at least admits that. Now, the interesting thing about this tech is it penetrated consumer side before the business side.
Make all these calls, right? Go through my calendar, go through my email. All this data is in the cloud, anyways. A, B. If it's more of an agentic workflow of terms of like, yeah, I'm really feeling Italian, and find a restaurant that's between you and I in location, and like we're thinking about Italian, but make sure they have gluten-free options because he's gluten-free. Find me a restaurant with a reservation at 7 p.m. tonight. Like, this is a deep research query, and then you get a response.
Now, again, I think it's going to be more of agent to agent tool calling and not the agent actually surfing around on the web for you and interacting with these interfaces, right? It's kind of clunky. I think maybe I see the future where all businesses, maybe there's a different interface. It's an agent marketplace, right? And then the agents are communicating in that way, but still, even in that scenario, I think there's a lot that can happen on the edge.
It's like, well, that took minutes. Or like, we envision the future where the AI books flights for us. It's like, this is not a like, book the flight. Okay, it's booked. It's like, book the flight. It's researching, it's finding stuff, and it comes back. But it's going through the web. It's going through cloud, right? Where is the necessity for it to be on device? And because of the hardware constraints, even if it is a streaming tokens thing, your phone cannot.
Well, also privacy, right? And security. And that's just somehow going out the window here.
Run Llama 7B as fast as I can query a server, run Llama 7B, and transmit the tokens back to myself, right? And no one wants to run Llama 7B. They want to run, GPT 4.
Fine, but that's like, am I a research guy or am I trying to figure out how long to bake my chicken, right? Because maybe Llama 7 billion parameters is good for my super simple use case, which, like, when you think about it, most people have a really simple use case. Most people aren't Dylan Patel, right?
Or 4.1 or O3 or Claude Opus or whatever, right? They want to use a good model, right? And those models can't possibly run on device. So it's a really difficult place for like the use cases there with integrated with all my data, but it's in the cloud anyways. And like, it's like, how much of my data does Meta have? Does Google have? Does Microsoft have? Let me plug into all those. Or in the way Anthropic is doing it, they've done this MCP stuff and they're connecting in. You can connect your Google Drive to Anthropic, right? And it's like, oh, wait, even if I don't have my data with Anthropic, they're still able to connect to it if I give them the rights to. So it's like, where's the benefit of on-device AI truly from a use case standpoint? There's certainly one from a security standpoint, but the actual use case is like.
Yeah, I think there's probably an argument for a little bit of both, and it probably does skew in terms of.
I mean, again, I just think that you want to move as much of the workload off the cloud as you can, right? And that's just from an operational, if you're just thinking about operational cost, right? Because there's not this world where just cost is non-important at all is like dreamland, right? Eventually we need to consider cost. There's going to be some sort of wall that you hit, and you need to consider cost and where should we distribute the workload, right? And the argument that, hey, just don't do it on the edge at all, maybe for now when you're blitz scaling, but long term, I don't think it makes sense. But anyway, so that's my video. Just wanted to talk a little bit about on edge AI versus cloud AI. If you like that type of content, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. On this channel, we do live vibe coding using tools like Cursor and also talk about some big AI topics. Thanks again.